You're listening to Making the Cut, the mostly true life story of a retired surgeon from 1C Productions.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Seitz, founder and president of 1C Productions. This episode contains explicit language and adult content. It is intended for mature audiences only.
Now that my self-esteem was at rock bottom, I realized that having two women in my life wasn't worth the price. Goodbye, Hanna. After Victoria, surgery was numero uno. As Dante Gabriele Rossetti advised, my doctors issued his decree that too much wine is killing me. And furthermore, his ban he hurls against my touching naked girls. How then? Must I no longer share good wine or beauties dark and fair? Doctor, goodbye. My sails unfurled. I'm off to try the other world.
I dove headlong into my studies. Each time Hanna came to mind, I pushed her away, but I could feel my resolve weakening with each attempt. Without warning, though, Hanna told me she would be going to visit a family in County Tyrone for Easter. I felt she, too, was trying to put space and distance between us.
I may not return. I might try and get a job as a sister on the medical ward or outpatient clinic at the local hospital.
I would miss her smile, her spontaneity, and her voluptuous and vibrant presence, her effervescent personality. I wanted her to stay, but I needed her to go. Without her here, I could focus on preparing to retake the primary. I would be forced to go to the courses at the college and face my books and surgical notes, while struggling to get her image out of my mind. Leaving Victoria never occurred to me as an option, despite realizing that my relationship with Hanna was getting out of hand. Victoria was on the way to becoming a physician. Given my fractured past, she provided stability and status. I was proud of her, and proud to be with her. If Hanna returned, I resolved to end the affair. I focused on my studies, and my level of anxiety diminished. It seemed Hanna was gone forever. For such is the passage of time when one misses and yearns for a lover. Had she forgotten me? She didn't even send a postcard to the hospital. She must have accepted a job back home and moved on with her life. I was, by now, a passing fantasy, a fading memory, surely. Victoria and I returned from the Agora after seeing the latest James Bond movie in Leicester Square on a Friday evening.
Darling, can you take that? It may be for me, but I absolutely must have a pee.
I picked up the receiver, wondering who'd be calling so late in the evening. Hello?
Jesus, where have you been? I've been calling you all evening.
I was startled. Hanna had never called me at home before. Are you back?
No, I'm on the moon. Where do you think I am? I've got to see you.
I'm sort of busy this weekend. Meet me Monday evening.
No, damn you, it's important. I've got to see you.
Victoria came out of the bathroom and headed for me.
Who is it, darling?
Yes, Mr. Mengott, I'll be there.
Holy Mother Mary, what's with this Mengott crap? 4 p.m. at the gazebo in Regent's Park. Don't be late. It's important.
That will be fine, Mr. Mengott. 4 o'clock tomorrow. I'll be there. My heart raced.
What is it, darling? You haven't forgotten, have you? We're going down to the Isle of Wight tomorrow.
Mr. Mengott wants me to assist him on a private patient. Quite an honour.
What? Tomorrow? On my weekend off? But I get so few of them.
Yes, it's one of his patients that he admitted to the Harley Street Clinic. Wants to do something or other. In a belly. I couldn't quite follow.
What, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Well, he probably couldn't get an earlier start time. And all his other assistants are probably tied up. It sounded really important. I don't know how long I'll be.
Can't he find someone else to assist him? Now I'll have to miss my friends who'll all be there. Darling, do phone him back and let him know. I'm sure he'll understand and find someone else. Anyway, how much is he paying you?
Look, I can't do that. He wouldn't have phoned me if it wasn't important and he needed my help. Can't you see? I suggest you take the train down and then you can stay as long as you like. I'm sure Shirley will understand.
Well, this has thoroughly spoiled a nice evening. I'm going to bed.
I'm a prick. Why hadn't Hanna suggested 9 a.m.? What was so important that it couldn't wait? Why at 4 in the afternoon? Was she working the morning shift? In the 3 weeks she'd been gone, Hanna had probably found a job back home. Or had she met someone else? Had her father, a diabetic, had a stroke, or what? I slipped into bed and lay awake next to Victoria.
I really think you should call Mr. Mengott and let him know you can't make it. Doesn't family mean anything to you? What would he have done if you hadn't answered the phone?
I wasn't about to get out of bed. I just stared at her, speechless. Victoria turned over, faced the wall. What would you do if the phone had been for you, and they'd asked you to go to the hospital for some reason or another? She turned around and faced me again.
I just wouldn't go.
Really? I don't believe that. Think of the number of times you've left at a moment's notice. Not even a phone call from when you got there, just a scribbled message left in the kitchen.
You don't understand. You just don't get it. This is a family reunion. You only did one case with him. You don't work for him.
I felt like a charlatan lying to my wife, a real shit. Should I come clean and tell her all? Or go to the reunion party and not turn up for Hanna? Terminate my relationship with Hanna? It probably was over anyway from the urgency of a message.
You are spineless.
She turned back to the wall. I lay awake. Eventually, I sensed she'd drifted off, her breathing becoming steady and heavy. I had always admired how once asleep she couldn't be raised from the dead. I was the opposite. The slightest of noise and I was awake, with full faculties, ready for whatever emergency. On Sunday morning, I accompanied Victoria to Waterloo Station to catch the 9:03 fast train to Portsmouth that connected directly to the island ferry.
You'll have to get yourself something to eat. I didn't shop since we were going to Mummy's.
I nodded. I'll probably have lunch in the hospital cafeteria. Don't worry about me. Just enjoy yourself. Give them all my apologies. I bought flowers for her mother and a rose for her. I'll miss you terribly. I wish I wasn't so addicted to operating. You know how much I love cutting. I gave her a peck on the offered cheek, a gesture not reassuringly intimate. She briefly hung out of the train window as the train pulled out of Waterloo, and I waved to her diminishing image. as if to ensure she had gone. Shame makes one cheat, lie, and behave in awful ways. Certain she was gone, I darted into the nearest telephone kiosk. It reeked of smoke and urine. I dialed Hanna's number. In my mind's eye, I could imagine the common phone box in the corridor of the nurses' dormitory, probably with a queue of nurses lining up to call family, friends, and lovers. A Sunday ritual enticed by custom and the cheaper rates. Should I just take the tube to her hospital and try and see her? After her long absence, I felt the urge, a wanting in my bones, one I recognized that spelled intimacy. This was a futile idea. She may be on the ward or attending Mass at Holy Cross. The day dragged on. I read the Sunday Times, neglecting my surgical texts. I went early to Regent's Park, stood by the gazebo hoping she'd appear sooner in the bright London Indian summer. In my mind's eye, I could see her hazel green eyes, playful and inviting, her loosely slung breasts swaying as she approached me. My face lit up seeing her walking stridently along the path. We approached each other, I in slow motion, she like a bullet. I wanted to kiss her. She averted her face, presenting her cheek. Oh no, not another cheek. She always kissed on the lips. Something was amiss. She stepped back and looked at me. Oh, God. It's great to see you. I missed you so much. How was your trip home? Tell me all about it. I took her hand and steered her to an empty park bench in the shade of a huge willow tree. She paused, looked at me, and scooted a few feet away.
I think I'm pregnant.
You think?
Christ. I missed my last 2 periods.
You're on the pill. How did that happen? Haven't you been taking the pill regularly?
Yeah, every fucking morning, despite them making me queasy.
Better safe than sorry.
Well, it didn't work, did it? I took it every fucking morning for the past 8 months, just because you wanted me to. Except, I stopped taking it.
What? Why?
My mother would kill me if she had discovered them. My father would kill you. Both of us. My siblings would probably disown me too.
Anger rose in me. How could she do this without consulting me? Was this a ruse for marriage? Both of us had too much to lose. She came alone to England 4 years ago to educate herself and raise herself from a station in life. She ventured into a new world in London, overcoming social bigotry and educational obstacles to become a successful staff nurse with the ambition of becoming a sister and perhaps even a matron. I too had left home with the same educational purpose. If Hanna went through with the pregnancy and had the child, she would have to return to County Tyrone, accept her parents' help in rearing a child, and maybe face a life of gossip and disgrace as a single mother. Silence reigned as I tried to work out the possible timing of a pregnancy. You were gone longer, more like 3 weeks.
No, I wasn't. Just over 2.
Could it be another man? I mean, in Ireland, an old boyfriend or a new flame? The second I uttered these words, I regretted it, for a hurtful look of profound disbelief flooded her face.
Holy Mother Mary!
Ashamed and embarrassed, I covered my face with my hands and then embraced her. I'm sorry, really sorry for saying or even thinking that. I felt my world slipping into a dark void of disbelief, denial, and suspicion. In the maelstrom of guilt, helplessness, and confusion, a dull ache formed in the pit of my stomach, arising with the seismic reality of my responsibility. Leaning away, she took my pocket square to wipe the mascara off her cheeks.
What should we do?
I shifted, uneasy. I looked at her sideways. Was she telling me the truth? She held her gaze on the grass in front of her. Have you been late before?
Like clockwork every 4 weeks since I was 13.
Oh. Well, it's just probably late then. The excitement of going home, demands of travel, and stress.
I'd been sick at my stomach for the last 3 mornings. I went out this morning and bought a pregnancy test kit from Boots.
You did? And?
It's positive.
You're shitting me. Did you follow the instructions precisely?
Holy Mother Mary.
How come, then? I mean, how did this happen? You're sure?
No, I'm just imagining it. It's all a game. What do you think, you asshole?
I watched the band rearranging their sheet music, preparing to play another tune. Have you told anyone? And have you thought what you'll want to do? Was I ready to be a father? Remorse filled me. I wanted to distance myself from Hanna and the problem she had created by stopping the pill without telling me. I weighed up separating from Victoria, but it wasn't a realistic option. I could not separate from my true love, my anchor. I could not envisage leaving her. The essence of my being was rooted in Victoria. She emotionally supported me after my disastrous first year of medical school. She moored my soul. She understood me, followed me to Boston, and married me. She even accepted the idea that we may perhaps move to America, leaving her ailing mother and family behind. I was now her family. She deserved all my attention and love. If Victoria found out, or I went with my tail between my legs and told her of the situation, she would be immensely hurt. Would she accept my explanation that I didn't do it to wound her, that I did it for my own vanity and insecurity? That I was lonely, afraid of being alone, and seeking comfort and acceptance? What did any of that matter now? I think you should see a doctor, confirm your suspicions. Once we know for sure, arrangements can be made.
I know my body and I am sure.
Would you want this child?
Holy Mother Mary.
I took that to mean no, and the responsibility now lay totally with me. I see. I know of a chap in Harley Street who could help us. He would take care of things, quietly. He's one of us. No fuss, no charge. Nobody would know. You'd be right as rain again. She stared at me, slowly rose and walked away at a slow pace, away from the band, from me, like in slow motion. I gazed after her, unsure of what might transpire. Would she go if I made the arrangements? I contacted Desmond the next morning, and within a couple of hours, he gave me clear instructions to where Hanna was to go in Harley Street on Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. I was relieved. I met Hanna again on the following Sunday with the news. We went to the Rose Gardens tea house. We had scones, clotted cream, raspberry jam, and her favorite, Earl Grey tea. Sitting at a small table discreetly placed out of the main traffic, we had our tea in the late afternoon sun. In silence. I handed her Desmond's note. You're scheduled for next Tuesday. Eat a light breakfast, no lunch. Arrive at 2 p.m., the Harley Street Clinic. Ask for Elizabeth, present this note. She'll help you register. Should I go with you?
Oh, God, no. No, you'd embarrass me. Anyway, they wouldn't want you there.
We watched a young couple sitting a few tables away with a pram. A blonde toddler, curious, ran around the couple. Hanna watched the little girl intently. Hanna turned to me and finally extended her hand, taking hold of mine lying on the table.
You know, I dreamed that it's a girl. I christened her Rita. Thought you'd like that name.
I was taken aback. Had she changed her mind? Or was she losing it? Rita?
Yes. Don't you like it? Rita Irene Poppy sounds cute. Or Rip for short. It's a rather sweet name, I think. Don't you think so?
I wasn't sure what to think. What was this leading to? Nice name, but are you not making this into something that it isn't? Her smile widened. Her eyes remained without sparkle, lined with sadness.
I saw Father George at the hospital. He thought I'd be able to handle it better if it had a name. And when it died, we can grieve over our loss and come to terms with it and move on, so to say, with our life.
I squirmed in my seat. I was uncomfortable with the tenor of this conversation. There were too many we's and ours in a construct of our current relationship, too concrete, too personal. Reality, as I saw it, was very different. She was scrumptious, sexy, desirable, a fine and fun-loving person. I genuinely cared for and loved her, or, more precisely, loved being with her. She made me feel alive. She made me laugh. Her presence made me feel like a real man, fulfilled. Our physical lives played out in a kaleidoscope of narcissistic ecstasy. Nothing like being with my wife. Because of our pressured life, Victoria and I had physical contact that felt sterile and precise, a well-rehearsed script, like a financial balance sheet or a surgical procedure. Nevertheless, we were married, and we would stay married. Even if I was single, the relationship with Hanna probably could hold no permanency due to her wish for me to convert to Catholicism and all that hoopla and hocus-pocus that I didn't believe in. The critical question now was, did she plan on going through with it? After all the arrangements I'd made, could I trust her once more? You haven't changed your mind about next Tuesday, have you?
Oh, no, Jesus, no. I don't think you're ready to become father or leave your wife.
This was a slap in the face, for she had never asked me to, but she was right. The waitress came. We rose. I paid. We left. I held her hand and took her to the tube. Empty Sunday streets, fading afternoon light. I bought her ticket back to the hospital, kissed the presented cheek. No mouth kisses. She lingered, searching my eyes. I wished I knew how to span the gulf between us. Reach out, touch her, heal her, say, "I'm sorry." But she had turned and already passed through the turnstile, alighted the escalator. She didn't look back, no small wave. The escalator carried her down into the tile-lined, poorly lit darkness, machine oil and uriniferous whiffs rising to meet me, while she disappeared into the subterranean world, out of my sight. With my heart aching, this was not how I'd imagined the afternoon would play out. I returned to an empty flat, confused, angry, and helpless at failing to protect her. What was she embarking on next Tuesday? Mother had wanted to abort me, and she was married to Father. Instead, she didn't, and resented me all her life. Perhaps it would have been better if she had. I could not stop ruminating on the issue while sitting at my desk, unable, once again, to study. Were we snuffing out my daughter, or my son? Was this the right thing to do? Did we have this right? What if she died from an anesthetic mishap, like I'd witnessed twice last year? Should I object, discard inconvenience? Were my feelings distorted, or should I be the pragmatist? No, I concluded. Let matters run their course. My God, I'm a heartless ass after all. Monday passed in a haze. Tuesday, I paced the floor of the flat. Right? Wrong? What was I doing? I had chosen the easy way out. I had persuaded Hanna to make the decision I wanted. Second thoughts assailed me. Regret. Fear for her. Tearing down Baker Street, weaving through the early evening rush hour traffic, I headed for the clinic. It was just after 4 p.m. and it had stopped raining. Hanna was nowhere to be found at the clinic. I finally got to the recovery floor and met Sister. You must be Elizabeth.
Yes, Dr. She called out for you as she was waking up from her anesthetic. Were you waiting for her in the lounge? We had no record that you'd be collecting her. She's already left. Refused a cab, said she'd take the tube home. That's quite some distance, especially in rush hour, and so soon after a general anesthetic. We kept her here a while longer. Apple juice, dry biscuits. Otherwise, she is fine. A bit groggy, as you might imagine. We wish we knew you were coming. We didn't even have your phone contact.
She mercifully refrained from stating the truth. You're a big jerk. So, all went fine?
Well, yes. Once she came back.
What do you mean?
She signed the consent, but then instead of going to the holding area, she got dressed again and headed out to the lift. I think she changed her mind, or she went looking for you. As the lift door opened, her obstetrician came out, asked if she was Hanna and if she knew you. He took her by the arm, headed into his office. Our psychiatric social worker joined them. There were a lot of tears. She was quite upset. Monsignor Gabriel joined them and they went to the chapel. She refused to phone you. I'm sorry you missed her.
Shame and humiliation washed over me in waves. Thank you, sister. I wished I could have had the abortion for her. Heading to the bank of Lift, I encountered Monsignor Gabriel. Thank you, sir. He placed his hand on my shoulder.
It is a difficult moment for both of you. Are you familiar, my son, with the scriptures?
He must have assumed that I, like Hanna, was Roman Catholic. I shook my head.
Particularly Psalm chapter 51.
Can't say that I am.
You may just want to look at it. It will help you.
He gave me a laminated card. I looked at it and read, "Have mercy on me, O God, according to your unfailing love. According to your great compassion, blot out my transgressions. Wash away all my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin." Until this event, my entire existence was the accumulation, implementation, and practice of my clinical skills to help patients to better their lives and heal them. I wasn't sure if the soul lay in the scientific or in the spiritual realm. Despite reading essays by C.S. Lewis, this matter remained unresolved for me. I headed home, only to find darkness. Where was Victoria when I really, really needed her? I opened a book and tried to study. A week later, Hanna and I met for lunch in a dim pub basement near Bethnal Green Hospital. She wore her normal, cheery affect, although underneath the facade she was more subdued than usual, and we both had perfunctory smiles. We picked at our sandwiches and sipped our drinks. Where there once was passion and love, now sat two wounded humans. The loving words had been spoken. The kindness, consideration, and comfort extended to each other had evaporated. All that remained was mutual empathy. As we negotiated the terms of our parting in silence, as if we could read each other's minds, she passed me a slip of paper. It was a poem.
Remember me when this you see. Remember me forever. Remember the good times we had in 212 together.
I smiled. Looking up at her sad eyes, I slid my hand across the table and squeezed hers. It could have been the epitaph placed on the tombstone of our affair. I like it. Thank you. I'll be sure to keep it forever. And perhaps I'll be waiting for you every May 1st in the Rose Garden in Regent's Park. I'd love to see your children, so bring them along.
With that, we parted. There wasn't much more to say. No looking back, for I was sure there wouldn't be a longing glance or waving hand.
You've been listening to Making the Cut from 1C Productions. Making the Cut was written, produced, and directed by Rebecca Seitz, based on Michael McGead's manuscript, Mastering the Knife. Noah James played Michael McGead. Other roles brought to life by the vocal talents of Nicola Waldron, Laurie Russo, Christine McGuire, and Angelo Mazzei de Poggio. Audio engineering provided by Zisher LLC. Making the Cut theme music by Kyle J. Baker. Learn more at makingthecutpodcast.com.